Hello everyone, welcome to our channel today. In this video, we're going to discuss a new category, interiors warming formula. We have discussed in previous video, we have discussed several categories. In this series, we discuss the formula. The first formula we discuss is 麻黄汤. 麻黄汤, we have said that it is used for patients was attacked by cold, superficial cold. In Chinese medicine, when we use the wording to discuss superficial or exterior or external, actually they are very similar meaning just because of the translation. So it means the pathogen is external, in superficial level. It is a comparison with internal. Interiors. So the 麻黄汤, 桂枝汤, those are used for patient attacked by superficial cold, exterior cold. The formula begin to discuss here. Interiors warming formula. Why we use interior warming formula? It is actually very similar to the one why we use disperse external cold formula. For interior warming formula, this kind of patient will suffer from interior cold condition. The interior cold condition, where does the interior cold condition come from? It's actually because of, it can be the external cold goes in deep in the body. And the other reason of internal cold is actually due to the deficiency of the patient. The patient have yang deficiency. Patient is a lack of yang, it will cause the cold condition in the body. But also here, we need to emphasize lack of yang and yang deficiency. These are two different principles. Even for the treatment, it's different. For yang, for lack of yang, the patient, because of the patient have internal cold, and due to the lack of yang, we use the warm herbs to warm the internal. But for yang deficiency, we will use tonified herbs. We will use tonifying formula for that condition. So the tonifying formula we're going to discuss in the also in this series we're going to discuss later. In this category we discuss the formula for to warm the interiors. According to the difference or the levels of the degrees of the how severe the patient was, like for yang, in this category it was divided into two different categories. The first one is internal warming, the other one is yang restore. So this just describe the level, how severe the patient was. For yang restore formula, we use for more severe condition, for lacking of yang. When the patient is lack of yang, they will have a cold condition. If the patient have a yang deficiency, it will have the deficiency condition. So in this, when we distinguish these two causes, when we distinguish these two causes, we will see that there's actually which is dominant. The cold condition is dominant or deficiency condition. So that's why we use different formula for these two very similar but different conditions. For the cold condition, especially in organs, we more focus on two organs, or we more focus on spleen, so it can have the spleen cold or stomach cold, and the patient also have the heart and kidney cold condition. For these two, especially for the heart and kidney cold condition, it's actually severe condition. We will use yang restore formula for those. If the patient have the stomach or spleen cold condition, the patient may be vomiting, maybe diarrhea. They have a lot of symptoms in the whole digestive system. And the patient also can have dry mouth and dry throat. When we talk about dry mouth or when we talk about the dry mouth and the dry throat, in the other category, yin deficiency. If the patient have yin deficiency, the patient will is kind of the body is a lack of fluid, so the patient will have the symptoms of dryness. So in the dry mouth, such as dry mouth, dry throat. But for yang deficient, but for cold condition in the stomach or in the kidney, the patient also can have dry mouth and dry throat. But what's the difference between them? What's the difference? What's the reason behind them? The first one, for yin deficiency, when the patient have dry mouth, dry throat, is due to the fact that the patient is lack of fluid in the body. So for the treatment, we're going to use the herbs to tonify the fluid in the body. So we use tonified yin herbs to increase, to create or to improve the fluid in the body. But for the dry mouth, dry throat, due to yang deficiency or due to the cold condition of the stomach, it's actually because of the cold condition. So the patient is not lack of fluid in the body. They have fluid, they have the yin, they have the fluid in the body, especially in lower jaw. But the patient have the cold condition, have the yang deficiency. If you see the water, the fluids in lower jaw, the water is actually, we need the energy, we need the yang energy to warm the water, and the water can become steam, goes up to the body and can disperse to all over the body. If the patient is in lack of yang or in cold condition, the water will stay in lower jaw, and the upper jaw or in other area of our body will be lack of yang. So in this condition, we actually, when we treat this kind of condition, we will use the warm herbs to warm the lower jaw, to increase the heat in the body. Because of the fluids in lower jaw, it's the cold fluids. We also can reduce the amount of the water in the body. It can help to be warmer. It's actually very similar. When we cook water, when we cook our soup, if the soup is not hot enough, there's two ways to warm the soup up. The first one, you can turn on the heat. So as you turn on the heat, you will warm the soup more. Or if we use the same heat, we can pour out some soup. We can leave less amount of a soup there. We also can heat the soup with the same amount of heat. So same as in our body. If we have the internal coldness and there is internal cold water stay there, how to warm the body up is to use warm herbs to warm the body directly is similar to the heat. The other is to get rid of some of the fluid. So with the same heat, we can make the body warmer. We also can combine these two methods in one formula. When we use this kind of formula, we need to be careful the interior cold condition. So interior warm formula, the one we're going to discuss now, is used for interior cold condition. So interior cold condition and deficiency condition, they have some relationship, but they are different. So you need to be careful that this interior cold condition is the true interior cold condition. Also, when we use this kind of formula, we need to consider how severe the patient was. And so we use if the patient very severe, we use more warm herbs to help. If not that severe, we use less. We don't overdose, because if you overdose the warm herbs, it will cause internal heat, also cause the other problem. And in the meantime, we also need to consider the seasons, the climate, and the patient itself. So if, like, for instance, in summer, when the patient have the internal cold condition, when we use this kind of herbs, this kind of formula, we need to be careful. We don't use too much, and we don't use for too long. And sometimes the climate is humid, like when it rains a lot, or some area, such as in South Africa, in Durban, the city, the area is next to the Indian Ocean. The climate there is humid. So if the patient, if he was there, if we use the formula to treat the patient in Durban, we need to add the herbs to clear the dampness more. So in the next video, we're going to discuss the interior warming formula in details. Thank you for watching our video today. For more information, you can visit our website. See you next time.